The presumptive nominees are slugging it out over issue number one, the faltering U.S. economy. John McCain accusing Barack Obama simply being bad for business, even as Obama accuses his rival of favoring big business and the very rich at the expense of the middle class. Joining us now, the former Hewlett-Packard CEO, Carley Fiorina. She's a top McCain advisor. She chairs the Republican National Committee's victory campaign as well. Carley, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
Here's the main charge that Barack Obama is leveling against John McCain when it comes to the economy. Listen to this.
Now, I've said that John McCain is running to serve out a third Bush term. But the truth is, when it comes to taxes, that's not being fair to George Bush. Senator McCain wants to add $300 billion more in tax breaks and loopholes for big corporations and the wealthiest Americans, and he hasn't even explained how to pay for it.
All right, he made that charge today. You want to respond?
Well, first, while it's a good line, I think it betrays a fundamental misunderstanding of how the economy works on Barack Obama's part. The reality is that John McCain has proposed to lower the business tax rate from 35% to 25%. That's because we have the second highest tax rate in the world. And that motivates businesses to take jobs overseas, which they have done. So the tax rate in Ireland is lower. The tax rate in Singapore is lower. The tax rate in China is certainly lower. We need a competitive tax rate so that businesses bring jobs back home.
Would that reduction of the tax rate also include, as Obama says, ExxonMobil and the other big oil companies who are awash in record profits?
Well, his proposal to levy a windfall profits tax against oil companies will only do two things for the American consumer: limit supply and raise prices, neither of which is very good. I'm talking about the business tax rate for all businesses,
including ExxonMobil and the other big oil. So in other words, is Obama right when he says under a McCain administration, ExxonMobil would get additional tax breaks?
No. What John McCain proposes is to lower the tax rate on all businesses so that it is more in their interest to put jobs here.
But no exemption for big oil, and no exemption for big oil then?
No exemption for any businesses. On the other hand, big oil companies go where the oil is, so you're not going to change their behavior much in terms of the tax rate. But you will change a manufacturing company's behavior. We sent jobs to Ireland when I was at Hewlett-Packard because the tax rate in Ireland was low.
I understand the need to cut taxes if you want to compete globally, which is the point you're trying to make. But
Barack Obama doesn't understand that.
I'm sure he understands that, but he also says ExxonMobil has got these billions and billions of dollars in record profits. They can afford to not necessarily get additional tax cuts.
But that isn't what Barack Obama is proposing. What Barack Obama is proposing is to tax the profits of oil companies. That's a different proposal. And taxing the profits of oil companies would do two things. It would raise the price of oil, and it would lower the supply. So it's not a good proposal for the American consumer. On the other hand, John McCain said, I'm going to give the consumer a summer gas tax holiday by suspending the federal gas tax, and Barack Obama opposed that, even though the American Trucking Association is for it.
Hillary Clinton supported it as well, and he opposed it.
So did the majority of Americans.
All right, well, here's another charge that he makes. I'll play this clip, and then we'll discuss this. Listen to this.
At a time when we're fighting two wars, when millions of Americans can't afford their medical bills or their tuition bills, when we're paying more than $4 a gallon for gas, the man who rails against government spending wants to spend $1.2 billion on a tax break for ExxonMobil.
All right, so we were just discussing that, but the $1.2 billion tax break that he says ExxonMobil would win as a result of reducing the corporate tax rate structure across the board, is that an accurate number?
No, I don't know where he gets those numbers, but it was $300 billion, it was $1.2 billion. By the way, he said yesterday that he could pay for all his programs, and then less than 24 hours later, he said if his tax increases would hurt the economy, he would consider postponing them, because they clearly would hurt the economy. I can't make Barack Obama's numbers add up, but I will tell you this, having studied John McCain's numbers for quite a few weeks now, he will balance his budget by the end of 2013, and he is proposing a set of tax measures that will help small businesses grow, which is vitally important because small businesses create most of the jobs in this country.
He alluded, he made reference to the cost of the war in Iraq right now. Here's how he phrased it in another part of this presentation. I'll play this clip.
Okay.
I have a different vision for the future. Instead of spending $12 billion a month to rebuild Iraq, I think it's time we invested in our roads and schools and bridges
and started to rebuild America.
You can do a lot of money with $12 billion. You can do a lot of good things with $12 billion a month.
There's no question. And there's no question that the Iraq war is costing a lot of money. And there's no question as well that as the troops are reduced over time in Iraq, that John McCain will put those savings towards budget deficit reduction. But it's also true that Barack Obama has proposed no plan for how he is going to get out of Iraq successfully without creating genocide. He's created no plan, spoke of no plan about what he's going to do on the ground now. So to rhetorically link transportation in this country and the war in Iraq, it's a nice speech, but it's not real.
The question is, how much longer will the American taxpayers have to shell out $12 billion a month or $150 billion a year or whatever it costs?
Well, I think they will have to continue to shell money out until we have a way to bring our troops home and leave a stable democracy in place. I think that is the sensible thing to do now, given the interest that we have at stake in Iraq, in Iran, and in the Middle East. And there's no question that we need to invest more in the infrastructure of this country. But to simply say, I'm going to yank the troops out immediately and put that money over to the federal budget betrays a misunderstanding of how the federal budget is put together, and also it's a naive approach to a very complex situation on the ground in Iraq.
Carley Fiorina, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.